Hello Earthlings, here is Marcin Staniszewski with yet another episode of Little Modular. This time we will be taking a closer look at this little baby right there, Disting 3 by Expert Sleepers. Now, let the looks not deceive you. It's a microscopic module which has a 4 HP, as you can see right there. Doesn't look too impressive, but trust me, this module is hell of a chameleon. It could be anything you want it to be. It could be a VCO, it could be, for example, an LFO, it can be a filter, and actually few different kinds of filters. It could be a VCO, it can be a resonator, a phaser, a vocoder, envelope generator, also clockable envelope generator, delay, clockable delay, tape delay. It could be also a sample player. So we're talking about a really deep module. Now, the first thing you need to understand before you start to work with this module is the interface and the way the presets are stored in here. As you can see right there, we have two columns actually of LEDs, 2x4, and the first column is named 1, 2, 3, 4. The second column is referred to as ABCD, and the combination of those two columns make up a preset. So if you want to change preset to 1A, which is a precision adder, you would press the first encoder, as those encoders are both press and turn. So you can press the encoder and turn it left or right. So if you want to choose, for example, a preset 4C, we just do it like that, and now we have a 4C. And 4C happens to be a VCO. So when I turn up the mixer, we can hear a nice clean sine wave. Now, the outputs on this module are located down here, outputs A and B, and depending on the algorithm, we have a different things coming out of this outputs. It could be an audio, it could be a CV out, depends on the algorithm. In this case, output A spits out sine wave or triangle wave, because we could also shape those waves with the with some other inputs depending on the algorithm, and the output B, which is square wave. Okay, a bit loud. Let's come back to the sine wave. Now, this particular algorithm is an oscillator, but it also has an FM in, which in this case is input Y. So, for example, if we take some other wave from other oscillator, in this case I take a wave out of Rubicon oscillator, plug it into the Y, we can immediately hear the FM patch. Okay? Now, in this case, the X input is responsible for 1 volt per octave tracking. So if you want to animate this, we could do it. For example, I do it right here because it's simple and next to the module with the 8 of Batumi LFO. So if I plug it into the X, okay, we get this wobble. And the Z input, which is basically a CV input for this knob, so we can add or subtract from this knob, okay, which in this case is a pitch tuning. Okay, so this is how it works. But if we go to the next preset, 4D, we also get a oscillator, but this time it's an oscillator that also gives us the possibility to wave shape the waves. So if I, for example, take an output of an app recorder by Flame and I plug it into the Y, Okay. Now I can shape, as you can hear, the outcoming signal. And as in the previous case, X stays the same, so it's 1 volt per octave, and Z is tuning. And one thing to mention, the upper knob helps you to change the octaves, which could be really useful, especially with the FM modulation scenario. So, okay, now we got the oscillators. Now let's have some more fun. For example, what about we try to cook up a simple delay? We have a nice steady patch coming from Metropolis and Rubicon. I'm gonna choose a delay algorithm for this, which is 3D, so we have to go back. Okay, now it's 3D. Now I'm gonna feed it, so I'm gonna put this nice sequence into the X input, and I'm gonna output this into the mixer, just as before. Now, whoa, what do we have here? Very nice. So, knob Z is responsible for feedback. But this is a clockable LFO, so if I want to clock it, I could simply press the encoder. Okay? I can also clock this delay with external clock instead of tapping the encoder. For example, I can use our trusty Batumi with square wave coming out of the last row, and plug this LFO into the Y. That's where the clock input is located in this case. Now, observe as I lower the LFO oscillations, the delay is getting slower and slower, and if I speed it up, you guessed it, it's going faster and faster. Okay, so that's how it works. Up to some really funky flangery effects. So there you go. Simple, effective delay in a matter of seconds. Okay, so now I want to show you some other algorithm, 2D in the same bank. This is a dual wave shaper, so it sounds like this. Okay, I have the same sequence going on. I'm sorry, okay. Some crazy distortion. And now I want to record the movement of this button, and so I press Z and turn this parameter. Okay, sorry, it didn't work, don't know why. Okay, you can hear right now. So I recorded the movement and it looped. And it's gonna loop until I press it again or touch it, see? Okay, again. All right. Okay, now we can hear it clearly. This is an excellent feature. I mean, it really, modulates and makes any sequence alive as you can hear it. So for me, it's like another, win-win function of this module. Unfortunately, it's not available on every algorithm, simply because some algorithms that use the push of the encoder won't allow it to have it as a second function. So in some algorithms it works, in some not. But when it works, it's just marvelous. So I love it. But now, what if you want to switch banks? Well, it's a little bit more complicated, but just follow me, okay? You need to press the encoder once and go to the second row, press it again, and now you choose banks with the A, B, C, D in the second row. A is the first bank, then you have the B, second bank, C, the third bank. So, for example, I want to choose the second bank, bang, and I did it. Okay, so now, when you want to change the presets, we do it just like we did it with bank number 1. Press it and turn it. Now, I'm gonna choose another preset from this bank, which is called Resonator 2A. Okay, so this algorithm is special for me because it shows how flexible this module is, okay? I just press the encoder and you can hear we instantly have a percussion module suddenly out of nowhere. And we can trigger it like this. You can change the length or decay of the percussion. You can also trigger it with external source, for example LFO from Batumi, and you can also modulate the Z to make it more, expressive. So you can hear we have a really nice percussive patch right here, which we can actually modulate further with the pitch modulation right there. Crazy stuff. Okay, and that just with a simple algorithm and 3 LFOs right there. You get some crazy percussive patch, I love this thing. I love this thing, seriously. There's one more thing to consider when you think about this module, because when I think about my setup, I bought some oscillators, I bought some filters, I bought a sequencer, and these are the modules that I use on a daily basis. But there are also some other modules that I do not use so often. Of course, I use LFOs, I use some, envelope generators, but for example, in my case, I don't use sample and hold that much. Precision adder, not so much, not so often. Phasers, I hate phasers, but someday I just might need a phaser, but I don't want a phaser to be stuck in my, frame forever because I just use it sparingly. So for me, this is perfect, for live setup, for studio setup. It's just so flexible and so deep, and it helps you so much in so many situations that, I can't imagine right now not having this little thing in my setup. Actually, I'm planning to buy 2 or 3 more of these because they're so cheap and so flexible and take so little space. And if you consider, simplicity of use, the aid of the LEDs right there, which show you what happens, in this module, it's just another no-brainer, really. Extremely highly recommend this module to anyone. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.